half the world's population will be short-sighted by 2050, with many at risk of blindness. That's according to a new study on the eye condition called myopia. It's a common cause of vision loss, with uncorrected myopia the leading cause of distance vision impairment globally. Researchers estimate that around 5 billion people will be short-sighted within 30 years. Up to a fifth of them will have a significantly increased risk of blindness if current trends continue. The rapid increase of myopia is considered to be largely driven by environmental factors, such as people spending less time outdoors and more time with electronic devices. Naidu is the CEO of Australia's Brien Holden Vision Institute and co-author of the study. Joins me live now from Sydney. Quite extraordinary findings. I'm just wondering what your experience is of this, why it's happening.
It's amazing results. I think it even shocked the authors when the final analysis occurred, considering that in 2010 we had 2 billion myopes in the world, and by 2050 we'll have 5 billion myopes. And that at that point, that would be 50% of the world's population. And any public health problem or issue that affects 50% of the world's population is a catastrophic issue.
And is this a given, or is there something that can be done now to stop this from happening at 2050?
Well, I think the worst part of the story is that 1 billion of those who are affected will have what we call high myopia. They will be at increased risk of visual impairment and blindness, increased risk of conditions such as glaucoma, cataract, etc. And as a result, we need to aggressively respond to this challenge. And what we can do is to firstly encourage our children in particular to engage in lifestyle changes. And that means spending increased time outdoors. There is much agreement by researchers that at least 2 hours or more of time spent outdoors is protective. It slows down the onset of myopia.
And sorry, what is it about outdoors? Sorry, excuse me, jumping in here.
Slow down the progression of myopia.
And is that because they're seeing further distances than possibly looking at an iPad or whatever else that they're looking at indoors?
Well, while some have argued that it's because you are looking at a further distance, there's evidence also to show it's actually the impact of the light that results in a stimulation and a release of a chemical in the retina, which then slows down the elongation of the globe, which is the eyeball. Because in myopia, your eyeball is actually lengthening, and the slowdown in that progression of the length of the eyeball will actually be protective. So there's different views on it. But the reality is that there's unanimity on the fact that if your child spends more time outdoors, that's going to be a protective issue.
All right, start that now. Frightening. Thanks for talking us through that, Naidu.